Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Flame Entertainment and Sports. It's your boy Rob here. Haven't talked baseball on the podcast in a long time, but I feel like there's no time better than now to bring baseball back because the Miami Marlins deserve to be talked about. They deserve to have many people going to see them play because this Marlins team is special. This weekend we make history by sweeping the New York Yankees for the first time in franchise history. And it goes beyond that. But something I want to note really quickly to quote, our 2003 world champion manager, Jack McKeon, who got inducted on Sunday into the Marlins Hall of Fame. To quote him, those guys in '03, they didn't play for the name on the back of their jerseys. They played for the name on the front of their jerseys. And that's exactly what this 2025 Miami Marlins team does every single game. They're playing for the name on the front of their jerseys, like Coach McKeon said. But yeah, with all that said, before we get into this big Yankees, series, I got to point out this crazy stat for you. On June 9th, the Miami Marlins were 16 games under 500 at 24-40. And today, as I record this on Sunday, August 3rd, 5:36 p.m. Eastern Time, the Miami Marlins are now 55-55. We're officially at 500. And, we've gone on an absolute tear ever since early June. And there's no looking back. The trade deadline passed. We thought many of our, big time contributors like Sandy, Cabrera, Bender, Enriquez, those are just some of the names that we expected to be gone past the trade deadline. The Marlins end up making just two trades, trading Nick Fortes, who we loved, and he's ahead of one of the best defensive catchers in the league. But ultimately, the Marlins have two stud rookie catchers in Agustin Ramirez and Liam Hicks. So it was just time for, Fortes to get an opportunity somewhere else. And we wish him the best in Tampa. And then the other was Jesus Sanchez, who we traded to Houston, and who will actually be coming into town on Monday night here to face his old team. So yeah, with all that said, we kept these guys, and now the first series since that trade deadline where, we shocked a lot of people by staying pat and, not making a lot of moves. We go out and sweep the New York Yankees here in Miami for the first time in franchise history. And we finished that sweep on the day, like I said, that Jack McKeon gets inducted into the Marlins Hall of Fame, the 2003 World Series manager right there. But yeah, it's just been an absolute joy to be able to, watch this Marlins team. It's been a while that the Marlins have been, must-watch TV. In 2023, that was the closest thing that we had to must-watch TV since 2003, since the World Series year. So I don't want to, disrespect the 2023 team, because that was a fun team to watch. At the trade deadline, we brought in Jake Berger, who since then has become one of my favorite players in baseball. Brought in Josh Bell, brought in some other guys, and it was an amazing run. And, we made the playoffs, and it was fun. But with that said, what stands out to me most about this group this year, who, are making their way to a playoff run right now, is that the majority of the guys on this team right now are rookies. And that even goes for guys who were called up this week, including Troy Johnston, who was recently called up. Played a couple games at first base. Today he started in right field. And then the other one, who we caught up on Friday, the day of the start of this series against the Yankees, Jakob Marsee. We called him up after trading away Jesus Sanchez. Many fans have been, clamoring for Marsee to be called up for the last couple of months. And ultimately, what a debut series here for Jakob Marsee. He becomes the first rookie since 1901 to have at least 4 extra base hits and 4 walks in his first 3 games of his MLB career. So, shout out to Jakob Marsee and congrats to him and his family. Hell of a start for him. And, it's just unbelievable that he's the first one to do that since 1901. I feel like game after game, these guys just continue to make history, whether it's Kyle Stowers with his monster season that he's had, including 2 big-time home runs in this series against the Yankees. Friday night, he had a huge grand slam. And then on Sunday, he had a 3-run home run as well. Agustin Ramirez, the rookie catcher, he's just been unbelievable ever since we called him up early in the season. Stowers and Ramirez are 2 building blocks that Peter Bendix, our general manager, was able to acquire last season in the trade deadline. He acquired Agustin Ramirez from the Yankees in exchange for Josh Chisholm Jr., and then he acquired Kyle Stowers along with Connor Norby in exchange for Trevor Rogers last deadline from the Baltimore Orioles. And it's just incredible what Peter Bendix in just 2 years has been able to do with this Marlins ball club. And another person I want to shout out is Clayton McCullough, the rookie manager for the Marlins. I was super upset when the Marlins decided to part ways with Skip Schumacher after last season. I'm a big fan of Skip. I believe he's one of the rare elite managers in the league, and I still believe that to this day. But with that said, whatever Clayton McCullough has done is absolutely working, and I believe a big part of it is the staff that he's been able to put around him, because we see the difference in every single position group, whether it be defensive wise. I think this Marlins team is the best they've been in a very long time. You look at the pitching, man. We had one of the top pitching coaches in the league for a long time, and Mel Stoudemire Jr. He was incredible. We moved on from him and we let McCullough bring in his own staff, and the pitching's been unbelievable. And a prime example of how good the pitching's been is Edward Cabrera, who, as I said in the intro, is one of the guys that we thought was going to be gone, after the trade deadline. He's had the best season of his career. He's been here for 6 years, 7 years already. He's super young, still in his 20s, but, he had never been able to put it consistent. He had some injury issues over the years, and ultimately, though, we always saw that talent. We would see these flashes, and that's why it would be extra frustrating watching him over the years, because we would always see these flashes where we're just like, man, this guy's able to put it together. He could be an absolute superstar, and thankfully we kept Cabrera, and he's the one that got the win in Game 3 against the Yankees this weekend, and he did an absolutely incredible job. Amazing first start after the trade deadline. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if a lot of it is due to him now being like completely stress-free in terms of not having to worry about being traded. He wanted to stay in Miami, and you could tell after that first start post-deadline, Cabrera's ready to go on this run for the rest of the way. It's just incredible. But yeah, I think Cabrera's a perfect example of how great this new pitching staff has been, because it's the first staff really that's been able to get Cabrera to be consistent. I don't know what it is that they've helped him with, any techniques, any recommendations, any stretching, any specific ways of throwing each pitch. I don't know what it is, but they've obviously done a great job, because, like I said, prior to this season, Cabrera hadn't been able to fully put it together. But that happens a lot in sports, not just in baseball. You always need the right people around you to put you in the best possible position to succeed. And I always go back in sports to Eric Spoelstra and the Heat and how they do things. They always put guys in a best possible position to succeed. And that's why a lot of times when you see these guys leave the Heat, their career kind of, goes down from there. And I feel like what this new Marlins staff is doing is just unbelievable. And, a lot of credit to McCullough and the staff. And like I said, Peter Bendix and the rest of the front office as well. And yeah, and obviously to all the players, I mentioned a couple of them already. But yeah, that's going to wrap up this episode, guys. I just wanted to do a little bonus episode out here, because I feel like the Marlins right now, this team deserves to be talked about. And like I said, people, if you're able to, get out to the ballpark, Monday through Wednesday now, starting tomorrow, we have another huge series, following this Yankee sweep. We have the Houston Astros, who are first place in their division. They have Jesus Sanchez, like I mentioned, we traded him over there. They just got back, one of their franchise icons, Carlos Correa. They still have Jose Altuve, and like I said, they're still in first place. And, Houston for a while now, they've been a super competitive team, and this young Marlins team has another shot to show the world that they're legit, and this is not just like a fun story. We're a legit baseball team, and, we're looking to go far this season. And like I said, it's just been an absolute joy to see the way they're doing things here with the Marlins now. And, as a fan, there's nothing more I could ask for. So, well, yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this bonus episode. Make sure to watch the Marlins, on TV if you're not able to go to the stadium. But if you are able to go, make sure to go to the ballpark, check them out. This team deserves a lot of support and love, because quote, like I said, to repeat that quote from the beginning, to quote Jack McKeon, these guys are playing for the name on the front of their jerseys and not the back. But yeah, guys, with all that said, make sure to hit us up on Instagram and TikTok if you want to give any thoughts on the Marlins at @theflame_ES. Make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Just search for the Flame Entertainment and Sports. Share it with any people you think would be interested hearing about the Marlins and this particular episode. But, we also cover the Dolphins. We cover the Heat. We cover, NBA and NFL. And we also cover entertainment on here as well. So yeah, guys, with all that said, till next time, everyone, go fish and take care.